Hey guys, we are so glad to have spent this last month with you. About a month, right? Um, I know we've been physical distancing and everything, but it's been a joy to connect with you, at least this way through the internet and the wonders of technology. So we really love you guys. We appreciate you following along with us.
Yeah, and man, I know it's been a little bit hard that, like Melissa said, we haven't been able to be physically connected. But to whoever has been following us, we've got people that are in Georgia and Texas and all over North Carolina. Been following along, and obviously here people in Washington. And we just want to say happy Resurrection Sunday to you guys. And whoever's going to watch this in the future, we hope that this series has been a blessing and a ministry to you guys, and that God makes much out of our loaves and fishes. And so today we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. Yesterday was Silent Saturday or Holy Saturday, where the disciples and the followers that Jesus had when he was walking here on earth were confused, perplexed, maybe not sure what was going to happen next. We have the benefit of being able to look back and to know what happens. But their Saturday, they didn't know, right? And so we're grateful for the life of Jesus. We're grateful that Jesus has reached us, that reaches that because he's reached us, we're able to reach you, and you're able to reach others. So today we celebrate the fact that he is not dead, that the grave is empty, and that we can join him in the life that he gives us and in the life that he wants us to share with the world. When I think about resurrection, obviously, I think about a host of things, but death is something that always comes to mind, obviously, because death is a precursor, a necessary precursor to resurrection. Death always precedes resurrection. There's no resurrection without death and dying, and many of us would rather not think about death and dying, and not think about those topics. But somehow, some way, God makes something beautiful out of this thing that's supposed to be the end. This thing that's supposed to be a period, Jesus makes a comma, right? Or a semicolon. He says there's more to the story. And so I wonder sometimes if the deaths that happen, the deaths that happen in our lives, sometimes we hold on to when Jesus really wants to bring new life on the other side of those things. You know, during this COVID-19 season, the life we knew is gone, right? If we think that we're really going to return to a life that was exactly the same as the life that we left before this whole entire quarantine thing, I think we're holding on to something that's dead, and not yet fully able to embrace what's on the other side of that. And what's on the other side of that is resurrection. And so we don't know fully what all of that entails. We don't know fully what all that means, but we know that there is life on the other side of death, and that there's big deaths, right? Like when you lose a loved one, when someone falls for a divorce and it goes through, when you miscarry, right? Those are big deaths, and those are real pains. Those are, there are also smaller deaths along the way, right? Like disappointments, or not getting into the college of your choice, being rejected by the person that you thought was going to be your soulmate, early on, and not even getting to date them or something like that. So there's many deaths along the way, big ones and small ones. The the COVID one, for some of us, have included both small ones and big ones. This week I found out that my uncle passed away because of COVID-19 on Tuesday. And we've been wrestling through that. My family is obviously um, broken up about that. And it's something that that we didn't expect, but it's happened. And on Tuesday we're going to hold a virtual memorial for him, and we're going to embrace the fact that that's a truth, and we're going to move on the other side of that, and hopefully that opens up spiritual conversations in our family for people that do not know Jesus yet. The other thing that I think about when I think about resurrection is the ability for us to be able to practice resurrection with Jesus. There's some dead things, right? And this is where discernment comes into play, that God doesn't want us to let go of, right? There's sometimes when Jesus would be called and he would raise the dead thing back to life. And I think that Jesus is still in the business of raising dead things back to life. And it's just a matter of like, is this something that Jesus wants to resurrect or not? And so, maybe even someday he'll call you to pray for resurrection, to raise the dead, like literal dead. But I think more often than not, he calls us to raise dead things, to speak life, to speak life where there is death. And so partner with him in that. And so there's examples of a buddy of mine, Shane Claiborne, out of Tennessee, is called to the city of Philadelphia, and he intentionally moved to one of the most impoverished places in the entire country to practice resurrection, to be alongside the people of Kensington and people that were experiencing hardship, loneliness, rejection, addiction, and everything that comes there, being outcast, not being listened to by their local officials. And so he is a voice of life and truth and advocating on behalf of his neighbors so that life can come to this place where they call the Badlands. And we know that God is in the business of bringing good things and life to places where people call he's bringing bringing good to places that people call bad. And you remember Jesus said, they asked Jesus, they said, they said about Jesus, well, isn't he from Nazareth? Nothing good can come from Nazareth. And here we are. Jesus brought life to that place because he came from the place where no one thought that he would come from. And good came from that place. And thirdly, this is where it hits home spiritually for all of us. Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 17, that if Christ has not been raised, then our faith is futile, that we are still dead in our sins. Christ's primary reason for coming to earth was to save us from hell and to save us from a death apart from God. And sin kills, right? And sin separates us from God. And Jesus wants us to be with him forever. Had Jesus not resurrected, then the payment that he paid on the cross would not have been good enough and would not have been accepted by the Father. And because he resurrected, because the grave is empty, because he bounced back, we can trust that if we've put our hope and faith in him, that he will call us by name one day, and that we will be with him for all of eternity, and that we are co-heirs with Christ even now. And so I don't know if you've made that decision yet, if that's something that you know, but Jesus invites you to let go of things, right, that should die. At the same time, here's attention, right? Bring back things from the dead that should not have died. Because, of course, death came in through sin. And because sin wanted to kill you, Jesus came and gave his life in death instead to give you life and me life. And so that's why Resurrection Sunday is important. And so we love you. We hope that you have placed your life and your trust fully on Jesus. And thank you again for walking this journey with us for the last couple of weeks. Anything you want to add?
He is risen.
He is risen indeed. He is risen. He is risen indeed. Look out for the new vlog series that's coming up right around Pentecost, 10 days before Pentecost, May 31st. 10 days before that, we're going to do a 10-day series, kind of like the one we've just done. And I'm going to be inviting you guys to pray and to fast with us in preparation for planting Church for the Nations and in preparation for what God may be wanting to do in your life. So more information for that coming. God bless you guys. It's our prayer that you would be rejoicing today in all that God has for you. Peace.